What's up, everyone? On today's episode, NBA free agency weekend is over, so now I tell you out of each conference with all the moves made, who's the best and who's just the rest. It's coming up now. Tune in. What's up, everyone? It's time for another edition of the Tricky Guy Sports Podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B. What is going on? As I said, I would return once NBA free agency actually happened, not just preview of what might happen, and boy, did a lot of things happen.
Is this real life?
Holy Lord, we got big moves and big trades and big this and big that, so let's go ahead and break it down the easiest way that I can. I'm not going to go through all 30 whatever teams. That's boring. That's silly. That's a waste of time, or we're just not going to do that. So what I'm going to do today is just focus on the big stuff. So I'm going to go to the East, then I'm going to go to the West, and I'm going to let you know in sequential order who I think now are the new elite in order to have a chance next year to win a title based on all the moves that they made in this offseason and especially over this free agency weekend. Get it? Got it? Good. All right. So like I said, we are going to now focus on each conference. I'm going to give you the teams, about four teams aside that I think actually have a shot, and especially now with all the moves that have been made in order to go ahead and give themselves an opportunity to win a title, because with the new CBA and everything else, to me now every year you're going to have about 4 teams on each side that can actually get this done. So let's go ahead and kick it off in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to go at 4th, and this is an honorable mention as a chance to win a title because there's a big asterisk here. It is the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers overall, having James Harden opt in has basically made it seem like they're going to trade him. That has been the overall discussion. Now, there are rumors with the Los Angeles Clippers. That would be an interesting move to see, because with all of their, they don't have a lot of great assets, but they do have picks and they do have some young talent there. But if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, and I'm going to start with you, you're kind of an honorable mention to me at 4, because here's the big asterisk, and hear me out. I don't think you trade James Harden. I think you let him go ahead and finish out this year, and then next year you make some moves. And let me go ahead and explain before you go nuts on me here and think I'm just crazy.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
All right, relax, Mugatu. I'm just saying that if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, look around and look at yourselves and look at your team and look at where you were, and then look at just overall what would be the best moves for the future. I know James Harden is up and down, he's mercurial, but he did lead the league in assists last year. He did actually have some very impressive playoff games. Now, was he able to be consistent in the playoffs? No. But you also have the MVP of the league in Joel Embiid, along with a guy in James Harden, who at one point was an MVP candidate. I mean, this guy was a dominant guy and still has a ton of talent. So when you look at all that, and then you look at your contracts, and this is the biggest thing you got to pay attention to, as hopefully with this offseason and all the discussion over the weekend free agency, if you're a 76ers fan, you've been keeping up with the money situation. Here's why I'm saying the Philadelphia 76ers need to go ahead and keep James Harden this year and then make moves next year. Because if you hold on to him for this year, what you can do, he opted into his contract. He is now part of your team this year. If you wait until the next season and you let him go in free agency and you let Tobias Harris go in free agency, that frees up $75 million. Money. That is enough for potentially not 1 but 2 max players. So if you look at your overall situation here in your Philadelphia, for one, Morey does love James Harden. You got to remember, this is the guy who had him in Houston. James likes him. They have had a little bit of a disagreement lately, but it feels more like a lover's relationship quarrel a little bit. I don't know if it's something that can't be repaired, or just like you have your buddies or your friends and they're always fighting with their girl or their guy, and they're like, this time I'm telling you I'm leaving. I opted into my contract and I'm out of here, and he's going to have to trade me or she's going to have to trade me because I'm sick of this crap, and you kind of roll your eyes and go, all right, I mean, it might happen, but you could work it out. James and Morey are kind of in the same situation. Of course, he wanted long-term, and Morey's like, I'm looking at next year and 2 free, big old contracts I can use to go ahead and get some younger, more consistent guys, and I don't know if I feel about that. But overall, the point being, you can keep James this year and still have a shot to win. I mean, look, the Eastern Conference is a little shaky, and you were Game 7 at Boston. It's not like you didn't have an opportunity, and unfortunately, your MVP, along with James Harden, laid an egg. Now, I know Embiid wanted to blame everyone else in the kitchen sink for why they lost, but your MVP did not perform well in Game 7. He needs to work on his conditioning. He is one of those, I'm sorry, even though he's an MVP, he's very Jokic-y. A lot of the big guys get away with just being big. And they really do. They get away with being big guys, and they don't really seem to understand the importance of diet and just constant maintenance on their body, and they just don't really get it. I just don't.
Just don't get it, do you? You don't.
And a lot of you fans don't get it, because you'll see a highlight of him doing like a 360 in a warm-up and see, he's in great condition. I'm telling you, the NBA jersey has got to be one of the least flattering things you can wear, and I can just tell the ones who are in shape and the ones who aren't.
Cry me a river, you fat baby. You disgust me.
It really is that simple. He still could be in better condition come playoff time if he was to be at peak level where he should be performance-wise. And James Harden, on his up and down, is kind of like trying to predict the rain, could be, a good player in the playoffs. He showed you signs of it. I don't see the reason you go ahead and get rid of everything. I just don't. I don't see why you make any trades this year. I don't think the Clippers bring you anything back. I don't think the Miami thing's happening. Run it back. Run it back for this year. You may not win, but you do have a shot. I mean, you have Maxey, you have, Harden, you have Embiid. It's not like you don't have players on your roster here. You're going to have Tobias Harris back. I mean, at least for one more year there, as I'm kind of looking around. I mean, that's not a bad overall group. It's top heavy, and you're going to have some situations work out. But if you're Philly, I say run it back, give it one more shot, and then next year you have your two big open contracts now of max ability and max level available with $75 million free. That's when you go make your big move. This year, I say stand pat, keep James, as crazy as it sounds. Go ahead and see if you can run it back one more time. Maybe you win that Game 7, and maybe you feel totally different about the entire thing.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
All right, let's get into the ones who I really think are important. In the Eastern Conference, I have 3 teams who I think now have vaulted themselves, or at least have kept themselves in the running when it comes to the actual ability to win a championship now after free agency. And number 3, I'm going with the Miami Heat. The only reason I'm going at number 3 with the Miami Heat is because there's still an entirely gigantic, holy crap asterisk that is sitting there, but it looks like it might actually happen. I told you this was going to happen.
I done told you. I done told you.
It looks like Miami was hoping this whole thing was going to happen, but it still has to happen. You have to. You have to go get Damian Lillard. It is now so close. You can almost feel it, can't you? If you're a Heat fan, and I'm a Heat fan now after what they did last year and learning about Jimmy and all the unrestricted free agents and the cool story that they are. And it's Miami with the sexy women and the music and the nightlife. Who doesn't love Miami? Everyone loves Miami. Will Smith loves Miami. Everyone's always a Miami fan. I am now a Miami fan. You are a Miami fan. So if you're listening, I'm telling you, it's what I've been saying. I said it from the beginning. And it looks like Miami was right along with me. You have to get Damian. That's it. And they've even apparently, according to reports, they're saying that basically, the Heat have called Portland. Now, Damian has actually publicly requested a trade, something that has never happened ever in all of the times he struggled and had issues in Portland. He's finally admitted, you know what? You don't have enough. I hope you guys like Scoot Henderson. I'm going to scoot on out of here. I would like to go to a contender. And Miami is saying with open arms, according to all reports, anyone not named Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo, you can have them. Whatever we need to do to get this done. Pat Riley has not been someone who has been, hesitant when it comes to big splash moves. I mean, you think of bringing Shaq all the way back when they had their runs. You think of the Heatles, all the different times that even Kyle Lowry, which was kind of but I mean, he did make the move. When Riley smells, he's a shark. When he smells blood, he attacks. And I know he smells blood with Portland. And so, unfortunately, I cannot put you higher, even though I would put you higher on the list if you can go get it done, because you haven't got it done yet. But, if you do, and you get this guy on your team, the Miami Heat are going to be, to me, there's been arguably with the one who I have at the 1 as the best team in the East, they will be 1A for the best team in the East. If you can go get, I mean, a lot of people, I don't think either always keep up with or remember just who this is. This is Damian Dame Time effing Lillard. This dude is a beast. Do y'all know who you're looking at here? Do you know who Miami might just get? This is not hyperbole. This is not being a prisoner of the moment. That is Damian effing Lillard. That is Dame Time. That is a guy who is top 75 all time, according to the latest one. After top 50 to top 75. That is a top 75 player. That is a guy who just last year dropped 71 points in a game.
Damn, Daniel.
That is a guy who is now only one of 5 to score 60 points in a game 4 separate times. That is a guy who just last year averaged 32.2 points a game. That is a guy who just averaged 7 assists and 4 rebounds to go with it. That is a 7-time All-Star. That is the only player ever in NBA history to not have one, but to have 2 buzzer beaters, not 1, but 2, that ended a series. This is a just unbelievable weapon. This is a guy who lives for the bright lights. This is somebody who's going to make Miami have that. I mean, the one thing that Miami struggled with in the finals, because Jimmy wasn't able to always do what Jimmy could do because he ran out of gas, he got tired, and it's just not his nature. He's not that. This dude is the biggest problem, and I would put him right up there with Steph Curry when it comes to if he gets going, there's not much you can do with Damian. That is Damian Lillard, man. I think people forget just who we're talking about when I say the Miami Heat might be able to go get Damian Lillard and add him with Jimmy and Bam and whoever's left. That dude is not your regular dude, man. I mean, if he was always in Los Angeles or he was always in New York, we would be going, oh my God, this would be up there with like Kevin Durant. And I don't know why he wouldn't be that much right equivalent with Kevin Durant going to Golden State as far as a contender, as someone who was right there. And they got not just a superstar, they got a freaking game changer, man. That's Damian. I know I'm being kind of fanboyish here, but that's 71 points. This dude just dropped 71 points in a game. He has done 64 times. This dude is shifty. This guy can shoot. This guy gets it. He has all the clutch gene. He has that step back that he can do basically any moment that he wants. He gets to the foul line when he's not hitting his shots. He's able to lead teams. He's not a guy who gets in a lot of trouble. He's smart. I mean, this dude is just waiting to finally get to the bright lights of a actually important playoff situation and start kicking some ass. You put him with Jimmy, you put him with Bam. I don't know why that's not first in the East. There's one other team that could be first in the East besides them. And again, this all is based on a huge hypothetical here. But if you're Miami Heat, and yes, Tyler Hero, I know, you're already putting on your social media that you're no longer part of the Miami Heat. You want to be all hurt about it. And nah. That's a whole nother thing for a whole nother day. They don't care, man. Thanks for the memories, Tyler. If you're what they have to trade, you got to go. Anyone named Bam or not named Jimmy, you gotta go. That was unbelievable what this guy can do in the clutch. Look at what this guy has done in big situations. Look at these shots. The balls of this dude. And just looking at it and waving goodbye and the whole thing, that's Dame time, man. If Miami can go get Damian Lillard, and it looks like they'll most likely have to give up Tyler Hero, I would throw in Caleb Martin with zero hesitation, some draft picks, whatever you got to do. Like what I've heard, and it makes sense, the cupboard's bare, man. Other than these 2 little things, you can have whatever you want. You go get him for the next 3 years. Miami, I mean, you are right there. And talk about a team that is primed for the playoffs. I would put top 5 as far as guys who are ready and perform well in the playoff situation. I would put Damian and Jimmy right there. Right there. I don't know how you couldn't be just rubbing your nipples excited at the fact, and if you're the rest of the East, cowering in your boots. I mean, just play with them, man. Play with them. You are most likely getting Damian Lillard. And if you're the rest of the East, you should be very scared. You should be Jesse Spano on speed pills scared, because that is a big move. Hasn't happened yet, so I have to put Miami at 3 for now until then. Moving on now to the next team I have, and this is at number 2 as the biggest threats in the Eastern Conference thanks to free agency. And I'm going to put them here and keep them here because of what they did in free agency. I still got the Boston Celtics number 2. They still have to re-sign Jaylen Brown. Hopefully after this recording is released, that little, Supermax situation will have worked itself out at that point. But the big move that you made, it was a smart move. Wink, wink. It was a smart move. I know a lot of you are losing your mind over Marcus Smart.
Well, then everyone loses their minds.
I mean, I get it. He's a fan favorite. He's loud. He's the heart and soul. He's like a Draymond, so he becomes a fan favorite there. And maybe you're going to miss some of the things that he brought. But I'm telling you, trading him for Kristaps Porzingis is one of the low-key best trades I've seen in a minute as far as for what the team needed versus what they had to release. I mean, look, Derek White, if you're the Boston Celtics, there's a lot of reasons you should be excited about the move you just made. But, I mean, besides the fact that I think what you got back, and I'll discuss what you got back in that trade as being very, very significant. To me, when you look at with Marcus Smart leaving, this opens the door for Derek White. Now, Derek White has finally gotten his head shaved, which I didn't have a picture today. I should have had that ready because, oh, Lord.
You will never find
that hairline was just...
a hairline like mine.
Yeah, that faux head, 5 head.
You ain't got a 4 head, you got a 5 head.
Was this whole situation. But he's ready for the prime time. He shaved off the way back hairline here. He's ready to rock. And Derek White, it is White time. If you're a Boston Celtics fan, this is a guy who in the playoffs averaged 13 points a game, shot 45% from the field, or 45% from threes, 88, 89% from the free throw line. And do you know this? Do you know that Derek White actually had the best plus minus in the regular season this year in the entire NBA? Not just in the entire NBA for a while, but had the best plus minus for any Boston Celtic in history?
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
I mean, if you want to argue that Marcus Smart, we can't lose Marcus Smart because you can't always statistically put out what Marcus Smart does because of his leadership and this and his IQ and no. I mean, really, you got to look at what he adds to the team when he's on the floor. Derek White is your best plus minus as far as that stat alone goes. He's your best addition or subtraction to who comes on and off the court statistically, according to plus minus, out of the entire roster and out of the entire Celtics organization. This was as of like March 27th. At one point over the season, by March 27th, which is way at the end of the season, he had a plus minus of 6.21. The only people that were close to him in Celtics history, according to their statistical records, were Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Derek White, if you go look all this up, Google it. I'm not making this crap up. He has a very, very high significant impact on what you do on the court. He finally shaved the head. He got rid of the goofiness. He looks like he's ready for the prime time. The last playoff showed you, at least in my opinion, that he's ready to take the starting role here. Not to mention, as far as being the vocal leader, if you're a Celtics fan, that's Tatum's job. That's Brown's job. That's not his job. That should have been Marcus Smart's job. That should be your leader's job. They're growing into it. I don't know how many times I got to mention Tatum's 25, Brown is 26. They're young. They're still evolving. You've been in the finals. You went to the Eastern Conference Finals, arguably an ankle sprain away from making 2 runs in a row to the NBA Finals. Now the move that you made, losing Marcus Smart, who, like I said, I think should easily be replaced by Derek White at point guard. I think the vocal leadership should have already been given in responsibility to Tatum and Brown. And getting Kristaps Porzingis, why you guys are bitching? Bitching. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot for me when I kind of watch and understand basketball. And I looked at Boston, who reminded me of Golden State, and went like, man, y'all are small. You could use a little more offensive impact. You could use a little bit more, again, usable size in this new generation of bigs. But you could use a unicornish type. And you go out and all you have to give up is Marcus Smart to get Kristaps Porzingis. And you guys are like, oh, we lost that trade wicked hard. Oh my God.
Frustrating.
Are you kidding?
It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Are you kidding?
It's frustrating.
You guys got Kristaps Porzingis. Do you understand who you just got? I know it was in Washington. I know he hasn't been around it since in the New York Knicks days for a while. But let me remind you about this one, too. This is also a very good player. This is Kristaps Porzingis, man. This guy is no slouch. It's a 7'3" guy. I mean, he's, how old is he? What, like 28, something like that? He's still pretty young. I mean, look at the shot ability here. This guy offensively can make a huge impact for you. And defensively, he's very athletic, too. He's legit 7'3", something around there. He is, sneakily athletic, as a lot of people, unfortunately, have to say of this melanin here. But look at that. I mean, he just yammed it on Anthony Davis. All you've had is like Williams down low and an old Al Horford. You had a point guard already in the waiting as Derek White was, and you added this guy who just, can yam on Anthony Davis, can make decent passes, but then look, too, at the range he has. You guys love to shoot threes. In case you've forgotten, Boston, your identity is right there with Golden State as three-point shooting. Look at that Larry Birdish, to reference a Celtics over-the-head pass there. You do realize that Boston Celtics, you are just as much of a three-point shooting team as Golden State. It doesn't fit your identity. It doesn't fit who you guys have always been. But the Boston Celtics actually shoot as much or as many threes per season now as Golden State. You're 1 and 2. So adding him, that was huge. That was a huge, very smart move there. And everyone else, you basically kept your roster besides that. And I'm looking at point guard. You still got Brogdon. You still got White. Now, hopefully, you extend Jaylen Brown. Peyton Pritchard's been sitting there as a fringe, maybe could help you there. Then you got Tatum, still Horford, Williams, and you added Kristaps Porzingis. And you're crying? Okay, look, everyone's got a right to their own opinion there, but explain to me why the Kristaps move, when you consider what you needed and what you got for the guy that you gave up, who I think was the most replaceable of as far as positionally and impact on the court, what could be replaced the most. You can't replace size. You can't replace, those types of things. You can replace a little bit of scoring and a little bit of leadership here, and somehow y'all are complaining.
Explain that to me. Explain it to me, God. Explain it to me, God. I want it explained to me now, Jesus.
All right, moving on. As the number one team still in the Eastern Conference, I will continue to go ahead and beat this dead. The Milwaukee Bucks did exactly what they needed to do. I think it was genius that they just brought back and made sure that they got Chris Middleton back on a extension on their deal, and bringing back Brook Lopez was the biggest mwah.
Real man of genius.
It was exactly what you needed to do. You were the best team all year. Milwaukee Bucks, if anyone doesn't need to panic, it's the Milwaukee Bucks as far as you were the best team in the East. It was a fluke. I like Miami. Everyone knows that listens to this. I like Miami. It was a fluke. You should have never bumped into them at 8. That was the weirdest thing ever. You ran into the only 8 seed who actually could make it to an NBA Finals. Your best player got hurt very, very badly. I really don't think that's been emphasized enough. Giannis was truly hurt. He smashed that tailbone. He did not land on it kind of like, ooh, ow, I hurt my fanny. Like, he landed hard and cracked his tailbone. Your best player, I would argue, was 60% from the guy that I saw. I'm going to show it to you one last time here. This was not like, ooh, he kind of slipped. He landed hard, man.
There's that injury again.
Look at this.
Look where he falls, right? That's Love. That's right on the tailbone. You could hear the thud as he hits the wood here. And he's not moving right. That changes everything. Again, now this Milwaukee team, again, the overall best record, and he won a
Yeah, he wasn't the same after that. Not to mention the coach who you fired, which I still think is one of the biggest dick moves of all time, considering that his brother died in a car crash that week. But, there was that situation there. And then also, again, it was a lot of little fluky things here and there. So when you combine your best player hurt, you ran into the toughest 8 seed in history, your coach was a little distracted because of mental issues, considering he lost his family member. And, maybe there was it was a lot. And so all you had to do was do what you did. You brought back Brook Lopez. You brought back Chris Middleton. I like the Chris Middleton bringing back, just because with the new CBA and structure and stuff, if either one of those guys would have gone, it would have been very hard to replace them. It's not like the NFL. You can't just, we lost this guy that was part of our either bird rights or exceptions or one of those, and so we can go get of equal value. No. You had to bring these guys back and run it back, and you should have, and you did. Brook Lopez, though, to me, is the golden gem, holy crap get of the free agency period. And he didn't go anywhere, but re-signing him in Milwaukee just keeps everything exactly where it needs to be, keeps you right on top in the East. Again, I'll bring up all the way back to the 85-86 Lakers. You are very familiar to me of a team who in 85-86 had won a title, kind of struggled for a couple years, and lost a fluke playoff series. In 85-86, LA lost a fluke series to the Houston Rockets, and there was started to be some rumblings and some like, oh my God, what are we going to do? All they did in 85-86 was they moved a guy named AC Green and his sexy Jerry Curls to the starting lineup. They added Michael Thompson in the draft, but they did not freak out out. They did not panic. They did not lose their mind.
Well, then everyone loses their mind.
They just kept it 100 and kept it going. You did the same thing. You brought it back, and I think you're absolutely right in the driver's seat again to get to the playoffs as a first seed again, and hopefully this time you won't have your best player hurt, your coach all distracted, and you run into the greatest 8 seed that the world's ever seen. And, I mean, I just have to tell you and reiterate, Brook Lopez is that guy, and you got him for 2 years, 48, which I think is a steal when I consider all the money that has been spent. I mean, I think he gave you a team-friendly deal, and what he does for Giannis as a three-point shooting big, keeping the floor spaced along with the rest of your roster. I mean, you look at the rest of the Bucks roster here. Jrue Holiday's still a dog, or Drew, as I'm sorry. That's just not how you spell Drew. I'll move on. Grayson Allen still out there. Again, Connaughton, Middleton, Portis, Crowder, along now with Giannis and Brook. How can we not say, and maybe y'all think I'm nuts, but how can we not say that maybe Giannis and Brook are the best 4 and 5 combo in the league? Why not? I mean, again, everyone focuses on what Brook can do offensively. His defensive impact is humongous. Statistically, he is one of the most impactful defensive centers in the entire league. He is a 3-and-D center. You do not get in the league very often 3-and-D centers. I actually want to remind people, besides the fact that he's huge and besides the fact he can shoot threes, which really does help spread the floor here, if I have it, and I better have it here somewhere. Where is my, I know I have it. I know I do. Here we go. Brook Lopez defensive highlights. Excuse me. Here we go. Look at what you got in Brook Lopez. Again, like 40% from threes, but look at the size of this guy. I mean, this is back, now that we're competing again against the Jokic's and the Embiids and the Anthony Davises. Look at what he does for you in the middle. If you would have lost this, Milwaukee, you would have been in holy crap trouble. You would have been in big boy trouble. How are you going to replace this guy? Look at what he does right here, and I'm going to rewind that. That was a guard. This is why I say he's a 3-and-D center. He chased down a guard from half court. Look at that. Look at that again. Look at him chase down a guard from half court and swat that. There are very few centers in the league that can do that just defensively, and then he can run down on the break and knock down a 3 for you, too. I mean, that is impact that is hard to rediscover in the NBA, and you got it back. That's huge, man. Milwaukee, you're good. You're golden. You're fine. I mean, you're running it back like you should, and then this guy is going to anchor your middle for 2 more years. You still have a good 2-year window now where you really should be the favorites, and, by the way, can do that. Consistently can do that. Consistently can hit the 3. Milwaukee, you're good. All right, so there you go. Moving on to the Western Conference, I have a few honorable mentions here. So once again, we're discussing an NBA free agency now that we've gone through the weekend. Most of the big moves have been made, where I think the elite rank in sequential order. Honorable mentions, I will throw out the ones who I think kind of failed. Sacramento Kings, to me, I'm sorry, you failed. You failed in free agency bad. Sacramento, I mean, running it back, you were not a team. You were not a Milwaukee or a Boston to me, or a Philly even, who I was like, ooh, they got some, good pieces there. They got just enough to just run it back. You needed another star, and you didn't do that. Instead, you rewarded, which I appreciate, some of the wrong situations. Given Harrison Barnes 3 years, 54, and not allowing then. I understand extending Domantas Sabonis. I get that. But giving Harrison Barnes that 3-year deal, which did not give you the opportunity to go get that other star scorer that I think you needed, and specifically a guy named Kyle Kuzma. I would have gone all in on getting Kyle Kuzma if I was Sacramento Kings. I still think you're a piece short. I don't know what to tell you. The Dallas Mavericks are maybe my sleeper, and I'll mention them honorable mention quickly as someone who could be the sleeper, maybe really could. Look, on paper, man, they're pretty good. They're pretty good on paper. They re-signed Kyrie Irving to 3-year, $126. They added Seth Curry, which, just sucks. That one really broke my heart. Golden State, you blew it. Seth Curry, you blew it. But they ended up getting him. He'll be a nice addition for them. They got Derek Lively in the draft, another guy who I was like, Golden State, I wish you would have got him. Dallas has always been, you can tell, trying to kind of mirror and mimic what happened in Golden State. It's why I think they lost to them a couple of years ago. I had talking to a guy who was a fan of the Mavericks at the time, and I was trying to explain to him The earlier series, I actually was worried against Memphis. But once they got against Dallas and I saw what they did, I'm like, oh, they're trying to be Golden State light. Oh, we'll be fine. And they smoked them in 5. And so they're doing, though, a lot of similar things, getting the Lukas and Kyrie, surrounding it with shooters, the spread out, kind of up and down. That's kind of the goal they're going for. Unfortunately, Luka and Kyrie are very heavy ball use guys, and that could be its own issue. But still, you look at what the Dallas Mavericks now have, we'll see, but they're my sleepers. Memphis Grizzlies, I mean, Marcus Smart, I guess, you got rid of Brooks, Dylan Brooks, you got one problem. And I won't say Marcus Smart's a problem, but he's Draymondish. He's kind of there. Bringing out Derrick Rose was nice, only because now we can officially say the Memphis Grizzlies, along with Ja Morant, are Guns N' Roses.
All right, you got me. That's an awesome nickname.
That's got a ring to it. With Derrick Rose being there, very old, but a good leader to try to help mentor the one Ja Morant. Now you have Guns N' Roses.
All right, you got me. That's an awesome nickname.
But all eyes are on Ja there, so we'll see. And the Clippers, I mean, really, to me, your only relevance is if you actually get the James Harden trade done. Then I think you'll put it up there in the Western Conference as possibilities. But let's get to the ones who I think actually matter now. The top 4 in the West, and again, I'll go in sequential order. I'm going to start with my boys in Golden State. I got them. I really do think the moves that they made in the draft and the Chris Paul trade, getting rid of Jordan Poole for Chris Paul on a 1-year rental, to me was brilliant, and it freed up the extension to give Draymond his money. And I'm not even mad at this. I mean, this is a team who won 5 titles in 9 years. They're bringing back the big 3. They have not extended Klay Thompson back yet for his extended run, but you can tell by Draymond's new contract, which was 4 years, 100, but really has an opt-out option after the 3rd year. And Steph Curry having 3 years left. I think they're going to extend Thompson for 2 more and bring the big 3 back for the final ride. And why not? I'm with them on this. Why not? This is a team that's given you everything you've wanted: professionalism, exceptionalism, championships. Let them go out on their horse, man. Let these 3, this big 3, as much as I hate putting Draymond there, I'm going to miss this so damn much. I'm so happy at least I got it for 1 more year. I think 3 more. Warriors fans, I think we got 3 more left of these guys. And as much as I bitch and moan about certain things, again, it's like a relationship, I would miss this so damn much. These 3 have changed the game, and they're getting a chance because they have an organization who's willing to spend and willing to understand the importance of chemistry to keep these guys together for a final ride, and I'm down with it. Absolutely down with it. Golden State also, again, did make nice moves. I like some of the moves that they made here in the draft with the Brandon kid at 17 to basically be the Dante replacement. And then also, again, 57, Trace Jackson Davis. Remember the name. That dude could be a very impactful player. Very impactful. And Kerr loves him. And as we pointed out before, if Kerr doesn't love you, I don't give a damn what you think. Ask James Wiseman, who's now in Detroit. He was a number 2 pick. Kerr said, I don't like him. I don't feel like playing him. Kerr does not give a damn where you've been drafted or whatever else. If he decides you're too young or you're too whatever and he doesn't want to play you, he won't play you. You could be the number 1 pick. You could be Wembanyama. He ain't in the mood. He don't want to play you. He ain't going to play you.
Whatever. I do what I want.
So he loves Trace Jackson. I think he'll be impactful. Dario Saric was a low-key big get for them. I like that move as well. And also Corey Joseph was a small little move. So you look at the Warriors overall, this is back to the strength in numbers teams that I remember loving, and they were trying to get back to last year but weren't able to pull it off. Now you got Chris Paul and Corey Joseph at point guard. You got Stephen Curry. Now we have a full season again with Gary Payton II. That's a big keep right there. Hopefully Moses Moody goes up to where he should be. Klay Thompson. Now you got Pozinski, Padinsky. I'll learn his name eventually in some small forward spots. Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga could make a huge step this year. Then you still got Saric and Draymond, who's now back for the run here, and then also Kevon Looney. So everything you got, I mean, they don't have any weaknesses now. Now everyone on their roster is a contributor. They can come back to where they are consistent in waves and different lineups and switch things and do things. They don't have quite enough size for me, which, I am a little bit of a size queen, but I had to accept the fact this is just what they do, man. They're never going to be the biggest boys in the locker room.
The most well-endowed.
They're not going to be the big swinging guy in the locker room and never puts a towel on and just kind of, yeah, everyone check this out. What do you think of that?
The most well-endowed.
You're never going to walk in and be that team. So it's whatever it is. I got the Warriors at 4. At number 3 with a bullet, and it pains me to say this, but let me go ahead and give some love. The Los Angeles Lakers had themselves one hell of free agency. I mean, give Pelinka all the credit in the world. He went bananas in free agency and got what they're supposed to do. Now, the LA Lakers, to me, should be a team that lives on their bigness and their size.
The most well-endowed.
And there's some big boys, man, and what they made in the offseason moves, besides the fact that they re-signed Rui Hachimura. Smart. Besides the fact that they re-signed Austin Reeves and kept everyone's favorite white boy out there in L.A.
It's all right, because it's all white.
The other moves that they made that were low-key were, again, big, available as far as can switch, can do things defensively, could be very helpful to you athletic guys like Cam Reddish, Taurean Prince, Jackson Hayes. Then adding Gabe Vincent as a point guard there to now go with D'Angelo Russell. Now you have a just wealth at point guard instead of like Schrader and some others. I mean, that's a lot, man. The LA Lakers made a lot of big moves. If you look at their lineup now, their projected two-tier lineup here. It's pretty impressive. This is now the projected lineup as a free agency. You start off with Russell, who has always been a very good player. Reeves now on his max, LeBron, Rui, Anthony Davis. It's a hell of a versatile, can do a lot of different things to your lineup. Then you throw in the second unit now Gabe Vincent, who just had a great finals run and has a lot of leadership and experience, great shooter there. Cam Reddish, Taurean Prince, Vanderbilt, who I keep forgetting about, but he's a Rodman-esque type guy who could really be impactful. And this Jackson Hayes is a big old monster athletic center now to back up Anthony Davis, who, let's face it, can never stay healthy, as your backup young guy there to fill in the Davis role is brilliant. It's brilliant. I mean, so the Lakers are great. I will continue, though, to go back to the fact all of this is a moot point unless you go ahead and get a high draft pick next year. I mean, look, the entire thing is revolving around keeping LeBron James. I will show you this one more time. LeBron is going to leave you. If you do not get Bronny James, I hope you know, and Brian Windhorst even said as much in just a story, an article I read recently. Brian Windhorst flat-ass said, LeBron James is going where Bronny goes. When he was mocked in the Atlanta Hawks draft in this last little weekend or whatever, they had the Atlanta Hawks get Bronny James like 17. LeBron tweeted this out to Trae Young. James Gang will be pulling up. LeBron is going. He does not give a damn about any more titles. He doesn't need to. You already anointed him the GOAT. He doesn't worry. He's not worried about a title. This is all according to Windhorst, who does seem to have a closer connection to LeBron than others. He does not care about a title. He does not care about his city. He has proven both. This guy will leave his hometown twice. He does not give a damn about you in Los Angeles. He wants to follow his kid. He's going to follow his kid. All these free agency moves are great, but in the end, still to me, I do think it's important that you go ahead and you get a big pick next year. You get a high first-round pick, and you draft Bronny for whatever reason you need to. Whatever you need to convince yourself as to why you draft Bronny. He is a prospect, and you get to keep LeBron. If you can keep LeBron, you have a nice 2-3 year window here. I'll move on. Phoenix Suns also. And you know what? Phoenix might have had the better. Phoenix might have had the best offseason to me overall. Phoenix Suns are at number 2 for me as far as biggest threats into the Western Conference, and why shouldn't they be? I mean, they're top-heavy, but their top-heavy is, it's a big old double D rack, man, of top heaviness. They are the guy at Gold's Gym who's got the chicken legs, but he's got the big old muscles. They have Bradley Beal. They have Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker, 4 max players, but they picked up in low-key 2 big gets for me. Eric Gordon, who's older but a veteran on a minimum, and then they got Yuta. This might have been one of the also biggest low-key signings of the free agency. Yuta Watanabe is Phoenix Sun. That's big. Show you this one more time in case you haven't seen this. Yuta is a 6'9", 6'10", kind of Japanese Lamar Odom that can shoot type. And, I mean, imagine now with all the spacing that's going to be available between Beal and Booker and Durant, and then having, all the other guys being able to get to the lane a little bit. I mean, he's going to be left wide open in these situations. This is a 44% shooter and probably like 60% when wide open. This dude, you got him on nothing. You got him on a minimum contract. That's ridiculous. Shout out to Ishbia. It's going to be a quick turnaround out there in Phoenix this year. Phoenix is probably my second best team and maybe 1A. Adding Eric Gordon and then this guy as your extra kind of just role player types, that's big, man. That's huge. Yuta Watanabe was a huge get. Eric Gordon was a huge get. They're top heavy, but they're very good. And at number 1, because they're basically running it back, I got to stick with the Denver Nuggets. And it's just what it is, man. They are the defending champions. They basically, we talked about this when they won the NBA title. The Denver Nuggets have under contract Murray, Jokic, Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. for the next couple years. They're all young. There's no reason to go ahead and put them out of the top seed in the West if they're the best team overall. They're the NBA champions, and they brought back basically the same team. The only thing they lost was Bruce Brown, and I'm sorry, that wasn't that big of a loss. I really, I don't want to crap on the guy, but just the fact that he's gone is not a big deal.
And it's gone.
I mean, he was a solid player and he did a lot, but I think that was also a product of who he was surrounded by. And now you have Christian Brown, who's able to maybe fill in that role. You still got KCP. You re-signed Reggie Jackson. And really, in the playoffs anyways, Michael Porter Jr. is the one who's supposed to step up next. Next year, if you run it back, it's going to be hopefully because Michael Porter Jr. is able to do things for you. I will warn you, and I will say this as I need to go ahead and roll along, but Denver Nuggets seem to be kind of obvious, right? I mean, why wouldn't they be? They basically brought the entire team back, and they're ready to roll. Jalen Pickett, you're one of the only ones in the draft who did something important as one of the contenders, who I do think can also help you out of Penn State. I think you did a nice job there, who could also help you replace Bruce Brown. But the bigger thing for Denver, and you're going to have to realize this, it's different with the bullseye on you. And Denver Nuggets, I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is my biggest concern. Nothing you did in free agency really scares me or worries me. You guys are still the best team in the West, and you're fine on paper, and you're fine overall. But the bigger problem you're going to run into, and you need to understand this, it's now the championship bullseye. It is different than most people understand. It is hard. It is very hard to go back-to-back in the NBA. You do realize the only teams to ever go back-to-back in the NBA are all like legends, right? And I know Murray and Jokic had all the stats, and they did everything they're supposed to, and it looks like they could be that next 1-2 duo. But teams that went back-to-back, if you look at who actually got it done, and this was at a time when contracts were easier to keep and it was harder to, not have the dynasties rule, are like the Heatles Miami Heat, the Bad Boy Pistons, the Akeem-led Houston Rockets, the Golden State Warriors, not just with Steph and crew, but with Steph and KD, the Chicago Bulls, the greatest team arguably of all time, the LA Lakers of Kobe and Shaq, Magic and Kareem, the old school Boston Celtics of like Russell and those guys back in the day, not the Bird Celtics. The Bird Celtics never went back to back. You are in a new situation here. You have the bullseye on you. And unfortunately, too, you have a main guy who likes basketball but doesn't really love it, Nikola Jokic. No, he really does. I'm sorry. You could argue he's got the balance. He understands that life is more important, but he's going to probably come in at the start of the season, probably more out of shape than usual.
Cry me a river, you fat baby. You disgust me.
He was already kind of running out of gas towards the ends of games here. It's going to be he's no longer going to be picked last in the All-Star draft anymore. He's no longer going to be like, oh, he's the two-time MVP, but we really don't consider him the two-time MVP. He's going to have the big old bullseye. Teams are going to go at him. Players are going to be hyped to go against him, and he's not going to be ready. I'm telling you, I'm watching him in the offseason. I'm watching him at the parade. Here is him lately in Serbia. And look, he's loving life, and why shouldn't he? He's the god of Serbia. But this is not Kobe Bryant. This is not Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Bill Russell, Michael Jordan level of training in the offseason here. It's a guy who's happy. He's got his money, he's got life, he's got his horses, he's got his wife, he's got his daughter with the ring. He's in Serbia. He got to go to effing parade. He didn't want to go to effing parade, but now he decide he like parade. Now he have parade in Serbia. Do sit-ups, kiss my Serbian ass. I am champion. I'm Nikola Jokic. I do not give damn about back-to-back. I've said before, job is job. I don't give crap about job. I want to dance very awkwardly on table. Jokic like dance on table. Jokic like beer. Jokic, just be careful. Just be careful is all I'm saying. I don't know if he understands or if you understand quite what it's going to take to repeat the difference between being the sleeper and now being the one out in front. And when this guy's doing this type of stuff in the offseason, I don't think he's doing P90X. I don't think he do things to worry. I play into shape. I don't give crap. I go ride horse. I drink beer on horse. I eat donut on horse. I drink donut, beer on horse, and eat pizza. You kiss my ass. I do what I want. I'm Nikola Jokic. I'm MVP champion.
Whatever. I do what I want.
All right, so there you go. One more time out of the Eastern Conference, the 4 teams I think have a shot are Philly, as long as they're able to keep James Harden and then worry about their 2 max free contracts next year. Miami Heat with an asterisk at 3, but you got to go get Damian Lillard. Boston at 2. I think the Porzingis for Smart trade was the smartest move that maybe anyone made, not named Golden State. And the Milwaukee Bucks, you brought back Lopez, you brought back Middleton. Very smart move. You're number 1 in the East. In the Western Conference, my honorable mentions were the Kings, but your offseason was not good enough. Harrison Barnes, instead of going to get a Kyle Kuzma or something, is where you should have gone. Memphis Grizzlies, you just didn't do enough either. And John Morant and all that, we really have to put you as we don't know. The LA Clippers are going to have to trade for James Harden to make me take them seriously. And the Dallas Mavericks, you brought back Kyrie, and on paper you made a lot of nice moves, but when you brought Kyrie from last year, you went from a playoff team into completely out of it, so I can't put you up there as a threat until you prove otherwise. The Golden State Warriors were at number 4 for me. They brought back the big 3. They made the Chris Paul trade, and they made some nice moves in the draft. I like them. They're deep. They're the strength in numbers team that I love. At 3, the LA Lakers arguably may have had the biggest free agency in the entire offseason, made a lot of smart moves, but again, your whole future after this year depends on going to get Bronny James, doing everything you can. That way you can keep LeBron, because that core only really works around a LeBron James. Phoenix, to me, may have had the best offseason because of the Beal addition and because of adding Utah and Eric Gordon off the bench. I think those are 2 key pieces not enough people aren't paying attention to. And Denver, all you really lost is Bruce Brown. I think you can replace Bruce Brown. Your biggest problem is going to be keeping this guy out of the refrigerator and the bar.
Cry me a river, you fat baby. You disgust me.
So there you go. Those are my favorites now. I loved what happened over the weekend. It was so much fun. Let me quickly get to some videos, and we're going to call it a day.
You seen it? You seen it? Don't look at me. Don't look at me, little puppet.
Have you seen this? Have you read about this?
Love doing this at the end of the show. In case you want to check these out with us, if you're listening on Spotify or any other audio format, please go to Tricky Guy Sports. Search Tricky Guy Sports on YouTube. Also, I'm going to put a lot of these clips up now on either TikTok. We have a TikTok now. We have an Instagram. We are all over the place, baby. We are all over. Just search Tricky Guy Sports on the internet, and you'll find us everywhere. Taking over, baby. Taking over the internet, much like a Kim Kardashian sex tape. Other than don't have nearly the amount of views, but we may have a big fat ass sucking pretty well. If that can make a comparison. Moving on? Sure. Let me start off. Again, these are just fun, silly, or different videos I like to show you at the end to cleanse my palate and have a good time with. Speaking of crickets. Oh, boy. Okay. I'm a wrestling fan, and
It's still real to me, damn it.
you have to understand, in the indie wrestling scene, independent wrestling scene and stuff, they're experimenting and they're trying things. So wrestling, if you're the bad guy, you're supposed to do what's called garnering heat. Getting heat on you means I'll do whatever it takes in order to make you hate me. Because the more you hate me, the more you cheer for the good guy. The more you cheer for the good guy, the more that people show up because they want to see me get my ass kicked as the quote-unquote bad guy. If you think about it all the way through movie history, unless there's a great villain, there is no hero. There is no Batman without Joker. The Hannibal Lecters and others are what make the hero of whatever movie, or, in superhero lore especially, Thanos, Joker. There's certain guys that make the good guys then that much better. That's a bad guy's job in wrestling. This guy took it very, seriously and very real.
It's still real to me, damn it.
A wheelchair guy? I mean, I know you want to get people to hate you, but playing with a dude on a wheelchair, that'll get you some heat. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Oh, and he wheels off. Ugh. And he's coming around the mountain when he comes. I mean, this is pushing the limit. This is pushing the limit, obviously. But clearly the guy is also part of this. I'm sure he was actually probably a fan. and see everyone cheering for. It's rough, man. That is the epitome of what's called, creating heat. He definitely created heat because that's a very unlikable thing to do. That's really pushing that line too of like crisscross of like, is it real? Is it fake? Obviously the guy was in on it, but still.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot. Let's move on. Let's go to some baseball. I got some good baseball ones. Oh, let's get to some baseball stuff. Shohei Ohtani, by the way, shout out to Shohei. Shohei Ohtani is killing. He is the new Babe Ruth, man. He might be better than Babe Ruth was. Shohei Ohtani is that dude. But I got some great baseball videos.
Baseball stuff!
Let's start out with Little League. This was great. I have no idea how this girl got this other one to fall for this, but this was hilarious. I don't think I played this before. Check this out. This is some Little League softball game. She's rounding third. She's heading home. Oh, you didn't get me. Look this way. Look that way. Look over there. Ah! And she got you one more time. Brilliant thinking on the spot. Catcher, not so much. Catcher's going to have a rough time in the locker room. Over there. Ah! So that was funny. Another one, this is from AAA Baseball. We have, what's his name? Jack Porter went locos. Apparently he plays for the Locos, and he went loco for real trying to catch this home run. And, in minor leagues and stuff, they had the shorter fences, and did not work out well for him. Here's Jack Porter. I got it, Coach. I got it. I do have it. I also apparently have a broken collarbone, maybe spine, and concussion. Oh, boy. The slow motion of it really makes it, doesn't it? I think the slow motion. And look at though, he's fine. He's tough. He's young. He's a baseball player. I'm going to catch the ball. I've caught the... Oh, no, I flipped and I'm about to... Oh! I'd be dead. If I was that guy. Jack Porter went loco for the Locos. Look at him. Full head of hair, all proud of himself. Young. The young.
I'm gonna live forever!
You young bastards. Driving me insane. Speaking of young ones driving me insane, this is out of Chicago, the White Sox. Oh, my God. I've said this before, and I say it again. The youth is wasted on the young.
I'm gonna live forever!
You guys, just nothing, really? Nothing before when you were born is important? I don't mean to pick on him. Adam LaRoche's kid for the Chicago White Sox. Now Bo Jackson is a coach for the Chicago White Sox. If you don't remember the Bo Knows campaign of the 80s, if you don't remember who Bo Jackson was, Bo Jackson is arguably the best athlete and two-sport star the world has ever seen. Heisman Trophy winner, MLB All-Star, had his own cross-trainer, had his own Nike line that was close to be like Mike level of impact on society. This guy was the guy until he got hurt. And now he's just a coach on the White Sox, and Adam LaRoche's kid could not be less impressed as poor Bo Jackson is trying to just be nice and explain, I am Bo Jackson, you little 9, 10-year-old, whatever you are. And maybe he's just trying to play it cool. Maybe he's just trying to pretend like it's not a big deal. But it's just, this is triggering you damn kids. That's Bo Jackson you're talking to. Show some respect. Bo's trying to explain to him his greatness, and he just could not be less impressed.
Gotcha. I used to play for the Kansas City Royals.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Play for the Kansas City Royals.
How long did you play there?
But your dad was about your age when I played there. How old is your dad?
35.
Yeah. So I played for Kansas City in 86, 87. So I'm way older than your dad. So yeah, your dad was a little boy. He was probably younger than you when I played with. I played with Kansas City, the Chicago White Sox, and the California Angels. And I played with the Raiders.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. You ever heard of the Heisman Trophy? That's the best college football player in the country. I won that.
So you played baseball,
Football on the professional level, yes.
So what are the Raiders are from?
They were in Los Angeles, but they're in Oakland now. But when I played, they were in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I'm the only player to make it to the Pro Bowl in football and the All-Star game in baseball.
and I'm the MVP of the All-Star game.
That's pretty awesome.
So I've been there a little bit.
Yeah. And maybe, look, maybe he is just trying to play it cool. Maybe he's starstruck. But, I mean, this guy's telling him the greatness that he was. I mean, Bo Jackson, one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen in the history of ever. And I go all the way back to, like, the 1900s. And this kid's like, oh, really? Pro Bowl and All-Star and you're a Heisman Trophy? Yeah, I was, like, second place this year in Little League, and I got MVP of my team. So, like, I get it. Like, I get we're like, yeah, we're just two studs sitting here, just two star athletes just enjoying our day. Although, on a more positive side note, this is from a podcast ago. I was saying why I think that drafting a kid who's the son of a pro, like let's say LaRoche does come up and become a prospect, this needs to become a bigger reasoned and understanding of why I would always go for a pro's kid, because this is what they grow up with. They understand professional life, and this is nothing to them. They meet a Bo Jackson. It's like meeting, Bill down the street, your weird neighbor who has like 9 cats and lets his mailbox get packed up till it falls out. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh yeah, Bo, he's cool, I guess. He won the Meisman Schmofi or something. I don't know. I don't really care. I wasn't paying attention. I was thinking about the new Call of Duty coming out. Nothing impresses them. They get professional training, and from the beginning, they just have a coolness that only comes with the ability to just be around it and see it and not be impressed by it. So by the time it's their turn, they're almost just like, yeah, I'm a pro. Oh, who are you? You're, Cal Ripken. That's cool. That's nice. Anyways, what's for lunch? Nothing impresses them. Nothing impresses you young kids these days. Drive me crazy. What else could drive me crazy that could be fun? Oh, I'm going to play it. I am going to play it. This is out of Mexico. I'm not saying this is right. I will admit I was entertained. Everyone seemed fine with this situation. It's a soccer game. I'm usually not into soccer. But I'll tell you what, when you put little people against the fattest people in the world and you have them play soccer, you got my attention. And you had mine, and hopefully this will have yours, because that's exactly what happened. Team of little people. One's got the sombrero on, this is out of Mexico, going against a bunch of proud, very fat, look like they're straight out of the Idiocracy team. And they played soccer. Yeah. This guy, the fat bastard, doesn't even have his shoes on. This one's in a diabetic coma. He's trying to get out of the Lollipop Guild. This guy can actually play. Excuse me. Oh. Tries to get around him. It's hard to get around him. Got some skill. Could use some cardio. Moves well for a fat guy. Ooh, caught him right in his little ding-ding. That little goalie's going, though, man. He's trying. He's trying to keep up. Give him the juke. He's giving him the juke. Oh, he bounced it off him. Goal! Scone! I mean, goal! As he holds up his arms in victory. Very proud of himself. Very proud of himself. I didn't do it. I'm just showing you the video. I don't want to hear.
It's not your fault.
All right here, buddy. I did not do that. I did not organize that. I am just showing you the video. That's all I did. You cannot kill the messenger. It's a lot. That was a lot to take in. Someone who apparently also had a lot to take in, there was the NHL draft. I forgot to mention this. There was an NHL draft recently that I don't care about. I thought this was interesting.
I don't care.
Only thing that was interesting, one of the guys that was announcing one of the draft picks for the Montreal Canadiens got the name wrong, or couldn't remember the name. This is funny. Casey Price, real quick, check this out, is supposed to be announcing the draft pick for the Canadiens and draws a complete blank.
Bonsoir. The Canadiens de Montreal are proud to select David.
We planned it that way. David Reinbacher.
He couldn't even say it after they said Reinbacher. I got it. Didn't I get it? I got it. I understand.
I never learned to read.
And that, folks, is why you don't watch professional sports with Canada.
They're not even a real country anyway.
I think that's it. I think that's all I got for today. Let me check one more time to kind of run down my thing here. Yep, that's pretty much all I wanted to bring you, so I gots to roll. We'll be back again soon. Happy 4th of July. If it is 4th of July today, if it's past 4th of July, just have a happy, I don't know, rest of your life. And I'll see you next time. Bye.